Breaking news. The jury has reached a unanimous verdict in the case of Daniel Penny. He's been found not guilty on the charge of criminally negligent homicide. Now, remember what was at stake here. The jury could not agree on manslaughter. They failed to agree twice. The judge gave them another bite at the apple on this lesser charge, negligent. They now say not guilty. What does this mean? Let's first go to reporter C.B. Cotton, who's outside the courthouse, to find out how this has played out. Now, I hear an immediate melee of protesters, C.B.
Hi, Harris. That's right. Protesters are pretty upset. There's a large crowd of them out here next to me. You can hear them rattling the police barricades, saying no justice, no peace. And what they're yelling now follows a series of threats that they hurled earlier as the defense walked in with their client, Daniel Penny, telling the defense team that Daniel Penny can have no peace here in New York if he's found not guilty on this lesser charge, criminally negligent homicide. And from what I can hear right now, they're repeating those threats. They are very angry. Harris, I also want to mention there were a couple people here this morning to support Daniel Penny, but the anti-Penny crowd far outweighs them, and they seem pretty upset. We're seeing police officers come out here in droves to try to keep the two groups separated for now. But I'm looking at our notes from the courtroom, and it seems like this is the first time we've seen some real emotion from Daniel Penny. His attorneys told me this morning that this trial has understandably taken a toll on him. He's been spending time with family and friends to try to stay calm. And our courtroom reporter telling me for the first time she sees him visibly smile, now hearing that jurors have decided he is not guilty of criminally negligent homicide. Harris, are you with me?
Yes, CB, thank you. Sorry about that. And we've lost our picture for a second there. Appreciate your reporting. We'll come back to you as the news warrants. That is huge, what CB Cotton was just reporting there. That emotion also that she talked about, color inside the courtroom, the first time perhaps that Daniel Penny has had any sort of noticeable reaction. And of course, when a jury finds you not guilty, that is very different than being divided and sending this case again potentially for a retrial. This is significant, not just for Daniel Penny, not just for subway riders who may have been on that jury who found a way through all of the legal wranglings, it would seem, by what we know is a soft-on-crime DA who does not hand out the adjudication evenly, we've seen from Alvin Bragg. So this is really important. I want to bring in now Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor, constitutional law attorney, and George Washington University law professor. Jonathan, before we get into what comes next in all of this, just your initial reaction. This was fairly quick.
It was quick, and it was not entirely expected because this is not obviously how District Attorney Bragg had planned this. The way the case was going was along the sort of design that Bragg had to force a compromise verdict. When the jury deadlocked over the more serious crime, the judge went ahead and allowed them to consider this lesser offense. That is basically what Bragg had hoped, that if he could not get a conviction on the more serious crime, which was unlikely, that they would come back and compromise and convict him on the lesser offense, which, by the way, still came with a potential penalty of 4 years. So I think that the most surprised person in that room may be Alvin Bragg, because you have a jury that apparently couldn't agree on the more serious offense, but then they came back and they said, but we do agree that he's not guilty of the lesser offense. So it's not exactly how this was supposed to play out in his view. And you keep in mind that this is a jury that received an Allen charge. And so that's where the court says, go back and try again. It's a favorite charge of prosecutors because jurors often do then produce a compromise verdict, a conviction for the prosecutors.